operations for Dataflux. I coordinate a lot of the work between SAS and Dataflux, and I'm responsible for making sure that the technology exchange goes well between those two organizations. Dataflux is a wholly owned subsidiary of SAS. It was acquired by SAS in 2000, so we are all part and parcel of the same group. Teams.
We also have Nancy. Can you tell us your full name?
Yes, I'm Nancy Rausch. I'm a development manager at Dataflux. My team does Data Integration Studio and also the Data Management Platform clients.
You know, there's a lot of new Flash and UI differences between the current DI and the interface will change. Can you describe what those changes are and where you're planning to move forward?
Gosh, we've made extensive changes in terms of moving from the DIA Power set to Data Management Platform, and then likewise we're also improving the Data Integration Studio offering. So they're running in parallel. At the same time, we're making sure that the technologies that we're introducing into one exist in the other, and so we're also sharing, if you will, the improvements from one environment to the other.
Do you plan to roll them out and support both the desktop Java client and the Flash web-based, or do you plan to do the Flash and then kind of no longer support the Java client?
No, we're keeping both of them going actively, concurrently. So we have no intentions of doing away with the Java desktop, but we are moving forward with some improvements and some I shouldn't say improvements, but some new products in the Flash-based space as well. One of the things, Nancy's group is actually responsible for doing all this, and one of the things that they're really focusing on is making sure that the appropriate work is accomplished in the right environment, for instance.
Yeah, Nancy, can you describe to us some of the new features in the Flash environments that you're planning to develop?
Sure. So as Pat says, we're really trying to target the right interface for the right audience, and so we're working on some business interfaces for data governance and also for integrating sort of the whole data management methodology together. We are working on some job manageability interfaces. Those would be things like where you start a job running, log off, go to a different browser, check its status. Those kinds of interfaces are very naturally fit within a browser, and so that's why we're going to go after those types of interfaces first. We're also sort of researching some hosted type interfaces using VMware to potentially offer some of our clients through that sort of technology.
I noticed that the architecture piece of the metadata server is moving towards this new Flex-based environment as well. Do you plan to coordinate with them, or how do you connect to those components?
Absolutely. We are part of the SAS stack. We are integrated with them, and we are actively working with the platform team to come up with the technologies and the pieces that we need to support both just standalone Dataflux customers and also an integrated environment for DI Studio and Dataflux DI Studio customers.
Great. Pat, can you tell us the name of the product and the version and as to when it will be released with this new thin client type of platform, or is that still very experimental?
The data management platform is what will contain all of that. I don't know that we have a product name specifically for the web-based thing. With that said, I think we're
working on a name. We're thinking it'll be something like We're thinking it'll be something like Data Management Web Studio or Data Integration Web Studio that contains administrative components, and it'll have a role-based interface that has business roles and administrative roles and technical roles. But we don't have the final names yet. We're still calling them project code names.
Okay. I'm curious from a larger perspective, Pat, if the environment were to be a thin client like a Flex, how do you approach the strategy towards mobile where, maybe the iPad may not support Flex? How do you help those customers?
As Nancy said, we're fully integrated with the SAS platform, and so one of the things that we will be looking at, we're looking at is making sure that, again, our applications are fit for purpose. There are certain environments where it makes sense to move our applications in more of the mobile space. There are other applications where it doesn't make so much sense. So, for instance, an environment where someone's expecting to do some significant design work in the DI space is probably not likely to occur on an iPad. Things like getting information, being more consumer focused, it does make a little bit more sense. So if we're talking about things like the reporting out of some of this infrastructure, we would focus our efforts there to be able to support the mobile environment more aggressively.
Since everything is going to be Flash and Flex developed, do you envision that it's going to be more supported on Android type devices, or do you plan to do another investment and develop a completely iOS environment for that?
Well, the first thing I would say is I would step back a little bit and say that everything isn't going to be 100% Flash and Flex based. So that I think starts answering your second question, which is that there may be some things that are either naturally iOS based, or it may be that we simply take a step back and have things that are more HTML5 oriented, if you will. And again, these are things that we're working on in conjunction with the SaaS teams to make sure that we have the appropriate capabilities that are consistent across the whole SaaS product line and the DataWorks product line.
Do you see that DI is pushing the edge and going ahead of the infrastructure of the architecture of metadata server, or do you just follow what they suggest and adapt to that environment?
I could take that question. DI has always pushed the metadata server. DI has always been the biggest metadata sort of consumer of the metadata services, and we will continue to ensure that the architecture evolves to meet the needs of the DI customers. Although we are active participants in some of the new initiatives that are happening with the metadata server. For example, the new lineage metadata architecture is actually a database that can have reporting capabilities on top of it. There's a lineage visualization on it, and it can integrate third-party data server or metadata components. And those are all requirements that our DI customers have had for a long time, and so those are requirements we've driven into that technology. So we are actively a part of the architecture direction. We work with the SaaS stack and the platform people to make sure that we move the metadata services in the direction that meet the needs for data management.
Good. So you're probably closer to the customer's needs than their the architectural people, so you can deliver.
Right. We drive a lot of requirements in from the customers, particularly from the data integration customers, because they have so many needs for. I mean, data management is all about managing data from your sources to your targets to building up all of the infrastructure, getting it ready for reporting, and that requires a significant investment in metadata. So that's why we help drive those requirements.
Great. From the customer's perspective, Pat, do you see this as being a separate new module that they would have to purchase, or is the Flex thin client just going to be another addition to the current offering?
We're working through some of that, so we always handle things like you asked naming earlier, and now you're asking about pricing and packaging. We tend to put those things together after we've firmed up the software a little bit, and firmed up the applications to make sure that we're putting things together in the right order. My gut feeling is that, in all likelihood, the web clients will effectively be a no-cost thing where the cost is put on top of the server. But I'll also tell you that we are looking into ways that we might license things potentially on a per-user basis, or something along those lines for the web-based clients. But right now we haven't firmed that up.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure. Thanks.